I know it's not all doom and gloom for us Detroit Lions fans. And like I keep telling y'all, man, the end season me is different. I know we've grown a lot in the off season, and a lot of you are not used to this me. Well, get used to it, or you can find somewhere else to go. And I say that with love because this is how I am during the season. I am very animated. I am very emotional. That's how I am. Most fans react very emotional off rip, and I am no different. I am no different. The difference between me is and a lot of people who create content on YouTube is some of them are going to pander to what you want them to say, right? I'm not one of those guys. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether it's right or wrong, or whether it's what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear, right? I'm just going to tell you my opinion. But I think that's one of the things that keeps people coming back is because I'm real, I'm raw, I'm emotional. I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine. I am not the Terminator, the T-1000, or the T-800. I am a human being, and I feel and I hate losing. All right. So whether you like it or not, I'm going to say it. And that's, I think, what makes me different as well. Okay. So now that we've got all that stuff out the way, this video here is not going to be all the doom and gloom. Losing sucks, man. It sucks. Driving home from KC with a win, albeit 1 point, how we did it, even though it was not the best game played, a lot of things we needed to clean up. Us having the more points at the end was all that mattered. And it made everything about that trip worth it. It made all the money I spent worth it. It made the 10 hours. Plus, I was down there for 72 hours. 72 hours. I drove 24 of those hours. That's how long it took, right? Sunburn, the whole nine. That 1 point win made it worth it. So losing sucks. And even though we have to wait, it's going to be time to move on to Atlanta on Wednesday. The same way. The new league week starts Wednesday, and that's when we move on to the next opponent, right? But it's not all doom and gloom. And the reason that I say that is because the NFL this year is a bit weird. We don't have 2 teams or 3 teams or 5 teams or 8 teams running away. We have no teams running away. We've been in the season for 2 weeks, right? And we're looking at week 7, 8 before somebody is truly running away. But it's not that many teams that have no losses in the league, right? It's maybe about 10 teams or so. But the Detroit Lions, and yeah, it's early. We have 15 games left. But why did I say it's not all doom and gloom? It's some positivity in this thing. And that is, one, Dan Campbell feels like we needed to be humbled. Slice of humble pie. Usually when people need it. And like I said, I asked the fan base, did they think they need to be humbled? And maybe we did. Maybe we did as a fan base. Maybe myself included. Maybe we did need to be humble in order to, I'm a huge Rocky fan, right? Rocky 3, Clubber Lang beat the steak out of Rocky Balboa. Why? Because he was too high on his horse. Clubber was hungry. He was remember he was working out in the dungeon, had no tools, no nothing. Rocky is working out with all these women around and the music and all this stuff. And Mickey was all in his face. Maybe we needed to get beat up by Clubber Lang. And then what happens, man? We go and we train and we get better and we come out victorious on the end, right? So maybe we did need to be humble, but the league is kind of in a weird spot this year where teams are losing. There are teams that are doing their thing. The Dallas Cowboys are killing it, man. They right now have the number 1 offense in the league right now, and we are -5 in point differential. But there are only about, a handful of teams that are plus in the point differential. And those teams are all undefeated, ironically. Nope. You have the Los Angeles Rams, they're +10 in point differential. And the Green Bay Packers are also +17. And they're both of those teams are 1-1. The Saints play tonight. But the Lions, all they got to do is take care of the next one, right? Take care of the next one. So what am I talking about? All right. So if we look at the NFC, right? The Dallas Cowboys, Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These are all the first 4 teams are 2-0. The Philadelphia Eagles are 2-0. The Washington Commanders are 2-0. Then you get down to this 1-1 crowd. The Saints play tonight, the Green Bay Packers, LA Rams, Seattle Seahawks, New York Giants, who got mollywopped last week. Our Detroit Lions are 1-1. And then we have the Carolina Panthers, Minnesota Vikings, Arizona Cardinals, and Chicago Bears that are 0-2. And if we go up to the AFC, right? Miami Dolphins, Baltimore Ravens, and the Cleveland Browns, as of this moment, are the only two AFC teams that don't have a loss. If Cleveland loses to the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, it will be two teams that were in the AFC that are undefeated. Two. This team didn't make the playoffs last year, or they did, but then they got beat in the first round, and I don't think the Baltimore Ravens made the playoffs. They could have. I don't remember. They could have made it. But either way, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, another year at 0-2. The Bill Belichick, I saw this, and I didn't go fact check this, but I think I might have seen it on the Rich Eisen show, that for the first time in 20 years or something crazy like that, the New England Patriots are 0-2 after week 2, right? Last year, I think when we played them, they were 2-3 when we went into, what was that? No, they were either 2-2 or something like that when we played them in week 5. So the Detroit Lions, we've got time. I think what the biggest kick in the rear yesterday, why was everybody so upset? Because our expectations, and I know as a Detroit Lions fan, that's like our biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy is expectations. But I think our expectations are still warranted. I really do. Even though, yes, I'm upset. Even though I react the way that I do. Even though I seem like a completely different person. I still believe that our excitement, our expectations are warranted. There might need to be some changes. Maybe we need to make a move for somebody on the defensive line. Maybe we need to fire Aaron Glenn, or maybe something else. Don't forget that Aubrey Pleasant was the scapegoat. He was the catalyst. He was the spark that got this team on that 8-2 run. And if you think about it, the Detroit Lions are 9-3 in their last 12 games. That is still fantastic. But with the game being at home, with the expectations so high, with the Ford Field selling out, with ticket prices going through the roof, our expectations were not met yesterday. That is the problem. That is the problem. And they should have been. See, that's the thing. It's not that, oh, it's the same old Lions or blah, blah, blah. We got our hopes up. They should have been. It was mistakes made all around. We got rookies. Jahmyr Gibbs led to an interception, right? David Montgomery doesn't have fumbling problems. Fighting for extra yards, coughed it up. In the National Football League, where there are 32 teams and most of them are full of professionals, the greatest football players in the world, you cannot make mistakes, right? We made a mistake against the Kansas City Chiefs last week. Patrick Mahomes made a mistake against us. That's the difference in that game. So it evened out. Yesterday, we gave the ball away 3 times to Seattle's none. That's going to be a loss every time, every single time. So there is still optimism. And I think our expectations are still solid. But the team, right? We get to root for them. They have to go out and play. The coaches have to coach. Right now, Aaron Glenn has to get this defense together. That's what needs to happen, right? So it's not over. We got a long way to go, and we're moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. But we have to handle business. We only get 8 games at home this year, and one of them is gone, and we let it slip away. We got to get this W before we go to Lambeau and face the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. The NFL gave us, after no primetime games last year, we fought our way. We earned our way into the last game of the season, and we didn't disappoint. We delivered. They can take some of those games away, right? We need to, our expectations, I truly believe, are valid. They really are. Division, playoff, all of that. We got some growing pains, and maybe, just maybe, we needed to be humble, and that's the fan base included. You know, sometimes you feel like you don't need to be humble, but you actually did. You start asking people around, hey, do you think I'm this way? Am I this way? Do I act like this? And they're like, yeah. You're like, man, I didn't even know. And maybe after that KC win, our team maybe got the bobblehead. I don't know. But I've been hearing this all day long, and it is, you learn more about yourself in a loss than you do a win. Your team learns more. And maybe the team learn how to get back on the horse winning. We'll see. So it's all right, y'all. It's okay. The expectations, I don't think were too high. They just weren't met yesterday. But it's just one game. We have 15 more to go. A long way to go. And there's a certain guy that has disappeared from all conversation. You know what his name is? Jameson Williams. And yeah, even though he might be Haven't done much now. He's still waiting. He's still sitting there, and he will change this game when he comes back, whether it's just he's everything we thought he could be, or he's a decoy. Either one, he will make a difference on this team. So before you know it, it'll be, as a matter of fact, after this week against the Atlanta Falcons, he can come back to practice. So I know it's been kind of weird not hearing Jameson Williams' name for the first time in a year and a half, but he's coming back, man, and I think we need him. Couldn't be a better time. If the Lions could be 3-3, 4-2, somewhere around there when Jameson, we could be 5-1. Who knows? Any given Sunday, right? That would be huge getting him back. So it's all good, y'all. We good. We in this fight together. We just want to see a winner. And I think we have one. I think we have a team that's capable of doing it. We might need some pieces to take us over the edge. And I think those could be coming, especially if this defense doesn't come trade around. Now, I will say this, and we'll wrap the video up, is if you're looking for Brad Holmes to trade for someone, okay, there's a name that we brought up in the offseason that could possibly be there, especially if the team is losing. His name is Brian Burns, but we'll talk more about that later. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.